Good morning, cool cats and kittens. Let me get you the fancy open because you're going to feel cheated if you don't get that. Good tunes that you and then you'd think that I would have the camera set up already. But there you go again. Thinking. Let's begin the countdown because that'll push me to go get my coffee. You are good. And let's go. Put that there, put this here. Yay, bonding. All right, let's do it. Good morning, cool cats and kittens. All right, let's do it because I have an inordinate amount to do today, and so do you. So the very first thing we're going to do is just do the cues, and we're going to understand that we're pretty much below everything. I'm going to check the mic, and I've got the head cut off. I don't know why the head's cut off. There it is. Is that good? Yeah, that's not cut off. These are just those blue light glasses. They're not prescription or anything. They are extremely helpful to staring at computers all day. Someone just bought that new, a couple guys just bought that new Excel blue light, the real big one, and they love it. I haven't switched monitors, so I'm not going to. All right, let's go. So if I look at how this is setting up, how would you look at this, right? So you would just see an H, right? So, just be really careful. The comments that are coming out by, these guys that, oh, we're never going to do anything ever again. It's all going to just be, we're never going to have to work again. It's just going to be AI. Isn't that great? Like, you have to realize these guys have to raise billions and billions of dollars. And if they don't talk about like what's really going on or how they're going to make money and everything else, it becomes an issue. I don't really like the histogram. Do you? I don't really dig the histogram. I find it vexing. I'm vexed by it. So we're going to get rid of that. Is that going to do it? Hold on. It's in here somewhere. Where are you, little guy? Up volume. There it is. So just make it there. Black and black as night. Okay, well, that's not helpful. Okay, how about that? Is that better? Yeah, there you go. I really don't like the histogram. So, not that I don't, you could use it. You should do what you're comfortable with. But we got to our level and we rejected, right? So when we see that, there's like really not much long-term for us to do except respect it. Where do we get to? I think it's an interesting question. I think at this point, you almost have to retest this level. Now, was that enough? I don't think so. I don't think it is. I know a lot of people are going to go out there and say, I'm going to buy, the software names. I'd be super careful there about which software names I'd buy. So, I don't know, man. I'm really vexed by what I see going on because I don't get to use that word a lot. I think maybe I watched Gladiator too many times. So the thing let me put this here, and then let me put this here. Then I drop it down. There we go. Nectar of the Gods. The thing that gets to me is that the software side of the market's 18 to 20% of the NASDAQ. So I'm seeing companies that have the ability to like go to zero on this. And then I see other companies that are being thrown out like baby in the bathwater. So I think that people are just getting out of the way and saying, that's enough. I've had enough. I'm just going to chill and see how this plays out. And I think that's right. So I think that's right. I think that's the right way to approach it right now. And I really don't see the reason to rush into anything. I will say this, for you traders, you crazy kids, options are ridiculously cheap here. And by historic valuations, I would think at some point you retest that put wall today. I don't see how you don't. The red's the put wall. So I would do that. I'm probably going to start being more active again on Substack. I really like the written word and like doing stuff like that. I got away from Twitter just because it was so like toxic. Like it was just, there was just so many bots on it and everything else. So if you don't follow the Substack, you might want to. It's free, and it will always be free. Like it's never not going to be free. But you might want to start following that because I feel I feel like writing again, and like I used to write research reports and all kinds of stuff. So you just might want to follow that if that's of interest. I think the link's in description. If not, I'll make a bigger deal about where the link is. Let's get to the SPY and check that out. So then the question becomes, what do we do here? And the put wall's down to here now, 675. And I really don't see how you don't test this, but I think you have to look at where the money's going. The money's going into capital intensive areas more than anything else. And I would really pay attention to that. I don't really think we need to do this, but I think that if you really think about that, it makes a lot of sense. Like AI is not going to go out there and build a data center by itself. Not yet anyway. When we get to Skynet by then. So, you have some stuff here that's of interest and, you kind of broke. I mean, I really don't see the sense in saying that you didn't break down. You did. So, anything under here you have to watch, but I do think that there's a bounce out there. I do think that that's coming. And I think that that's super important. So, let's take a look at that and we'll go from there. If I take a look at the ES here, I find this super interesting where, you're really doing the same thing, but that's that CTA sell level. We've gone over those before. If you guys, if you're in the community, you've done that. A small batch of invites will go out tonight, like maybe 10% that's on there. So just FYI, if you're trying to get into the community. It can only be so big, guys, because of what goes on in there. So, it does hit a point where it's just, I can't do it. So I have to, and I talk to everybody. Not forced to talk to me, but yeah, I don't know that you're going to come down to that level today or not. I don't know if you're going to get the failed H or what you're going to get. I'm not overly worried about data this week. Maybe I should be. Maybe that's my fault that I'm not that worried about data. But I'm really not. I'm more trying to figure out like where are we going here. So if I do it this way, and I drop down the 50% level. You see where it is? Like from that peak down to here. See where it stops? Look at it. Look at it. Right? See where you just kept hitting over and over again? And that's the top of that H, right? So the question becomes, does this H break or does this H retest up here? And I mean, candidly, I just don't have an answer for you there. So, my thought on that really is just to kind of hang out and watch. I don't think you need to, really do a lot there. I don't think you need to do a lot, period. I think that you should have a list of names that you really like and then pay attention to those. But I don't think you have to do more than that this morning. Let's do it to the NQ2, and I'm going to take a bunch of questions because there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of spots that I could go with this. And yeah, I mean, you have a tough time holding anything. And, I think off the open, you really just want to watch that and see how it plays out. I definitely want to know when I get down here, and I definitely don't want to break my red wall. That's like a huge demarcation line for me. Like, I don't even want to get in there. I don't really want to get in there. And there's some really bad stuff going on technically here, if you look at the socks and stuff. So my hope is that this all gets it together. But, I don't trade hope. I learned a long time ago. So what I'd like to do here is show you this on a 5, and I'm going to take a bunch of questions. I think that's the best thing that I could do. So here's that area, and here you are as well. Yeah, I just don't see the whole, I got to do a lot here. I'm just not feeling it. I'd be more interested in gold than anything. Industrial, anything capital intensive, dude. Anything like that. Building a house, concrete, anything like that. Yeah, I have a position in this. I've had a position in this forever and a day. I think the real question that people aren't understanding is that they're Israeli based, and therefore Israel gets to make a decision on what they're going to do. Do they allow it or don't allow it? The corporation in question, they're Saudi owned. Like they have like 10% or 12% Saudi owned. So I'm not really sure that, let me buy more of this. Thank you, little British guy. Hold on. So, I don't know that it goes. I've owned this for a very long period of time. You're at $25 in cash. They're not putting the dividend out there, right? You guys can comment on it. I mean, what do you think the chances of Israel letting this company get bought by, Saudi minority-owned company? I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. Someone knows more than me, that's for sure. The people that I've talked to that are in this space are saying the same thing. They're like, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. But you would almost think that a company of that magnitude would have reached out to them ahead of time and been like, hey, we're thinking about buying this company. How do you feel about that? So I'm not going to do anything with the position. Am I going to add to it? Probably not. I think a lot of people are going to look at this the same way they looked at this. What was that other one? SALAB? Was that it? Or SLAB? Is that it? Silicon Labs that got bought? And I think this got bought for 25 or something. And people are like, oh, I'm not buying that. I think it's like 225 or 226. It's a tech company that needs approval from China to get bought. And so, you don't know if Trump comes out with super double secret tariffs again, against the guacamole or whatever he's going to do. You don't know how China's going to respond to that. So China might just say no. and that's pretty much the end of it. And then this thing's down at 130, and everyone's crying. So there's a lot of weight here from these countries right now on these, and there's a huge disruption in the way that things are being done. I would think that somebody had had a conversation with somebody there, like, hey, what do you think of this? But there I go again, thinking. It's the same thing I felt about like WBD, which is actually trading up today, because it's probably going to be Peace Guy that gets it. And I've said this for some time. I still think it's going to be them that gets it. But, like, I don't know what, who is advising, Netflix on this. And to me, I think that this is, I think we'll look back at this on Netflix and be like, oh man, we really should have bought some Netflix. And if you were like long-term, but I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot going on there. And, you got the political side of it too. So you never know, like, it doesn't matter. So it doesn't matter. I'm about to go off on a tangent. I'm going to reel it back in. We're going to reel that right back in. So, to answer your question about ZIM is like, I don't know that it goes through. I haven't sold any, and I'm wondering if I'm going to regret it, but I'm going to, I'm going to go with the horse I bet on. I'm just going to stay with it. Maybe for the extra $5, I should, but kick it, but I'm not going to. I'm going to play the hand. So, yeah, I the thing about these kinds of names that are interesting is I think that you went through this like 2 weeks ago, and I wasn't looking at this, and I really wasn't looking at it when it did this. And these setups, John, just remember this. Like every single time you have a 12-22 cross under the 55 on this name, you want to give it a shot. It doesn't mean it's going to work, but the probability of it, it's pretty high, man. And this makes a lot of sense because this is really where I think things are going. And I think they're going to, I think you'll get up here, but I think it's going to, hey, I have land. Like if you really look at what Tether's doing, right, which is basically software, which I read this really great article this weekend. I won't bore you with it, but it referred to, but basically it was like talking about how crypto is really just software. And if you think about where is Tether putting their money, they're buying gold. They're buying physical gold. People are like, oh, they're buying physical gold so they can create a stable coin. They're buying gold, period. He might say we're doing it to create a stable coin, but they're physically buying gold. They are also buying land, and they're not buying this stuff. They might say they're doing it to tokenize it, but has anybody seen that yet? I haven't. I haven't seen anything like that coming out of there. So I think that there's the capital intensive side of the market, the value side of the market, man. I did this chart, right, John? I think this Saturday in Saturday's video, we're like growth versus value. Like, why are people not buying value names? And the capital intensive side of the market, and it's not really where I trade. Like I'll own them, but I just get bored. But it's working. Like it's very boring, but it's working. So yeah, 100%. And I would take a look at that. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I think the TPL, that kind of stuff, the KVEU, I don't know, man. I don't have a real good feel about that one. The chart looks okay. You're probably coming on it, or it looks like you probably broke the 200 already. You probably broke it, right? No, you're right there. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't go near that until I'm over. GLW looks great. It's capital intensive. I like it. I think PLTR is in a lot of trouble, like a lot of trouble. You might bounce here. I don't really care about the death cross, but you're in a lot of trouble, especially the relationship with Anthropic and how does this play out in, I mean, that is textbook. You have problems. That is textbook left, head, right. And the right is the big, meaty bodybuilder shoulder, and this is your, left trout-like shoulder that nobody likes. So, and you can see how test broke. Like, yeah, maybe you get through. Like, maybe it works. Like, maybe you can do that trade on the long side. But realistically, and this is what I think is happening, is even stuff like Hood, like they're just getting out of the retail trade. But I think that they're at risk here. I think there's a big risk here with this name right now. Yeah, I do. And you got to see what happens in midterms too, because that could be a real problem. I don't have a good read on this at all. I thought this quarter was an absolute dumpster fire. I went back and listened to it again. It was an absolute dumpster fire. I was short. It didn't work. I got out of the short. I'm staying away from it because I think too many people are short it, candidly. And I understand why people like it, but for me,
General Mills, Lissimo, Warner Bros.
Thank you, little robot guy. So if I look at something like this, I can't play these kinds of names, so I'll just show you where it is. But I really can't. You always want to clone them and then use them that way. I'm going to start doing more educational videos too. They're probably going to be on Thursdays. So I'm just looking at it and leaning that way. I think it'd be helpful. Smaller, shorter ones, nothing crazy. Just like one topic for like 8 to 10 minutes. I think it'd be super helpful to draw on those, because then I could take those videos and then link them into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday videos and say, hey, watch this video. This is the same thing we used for this. And then you could watch it and just learn it real quick. And then, you have to implement it. But I keep trying to figure this part of it out, because this is so interesting, right? Because you have things like NBIS and this whole space. And I really like the space. Like, it makes so much sense. CIFR, like we're running out of Wolf. We're running out of space, right? Like, we don't have enough data space. So if you don't have enough data space, then it would make sense. But why are they acting, like an ass sandwich? And that's, I don't have an answer to that. And that, I feel like I'm missing something. So I don't know how else to say it. Sorry. Because then you look at like EQIX, right? And you're like, well, they're up because they're going to grow so much. And then you're looking at these other names like VRT bookings were like 250%. And you have like all these other names that these guys like that are just like rocking, right? So the structural build out of data centers is only increasing. So why the heck are these things struggling so much? And I don't have the right answer to it. I really like the NBIS. I think that one makes the most sense to me. It's really not my kind of trade, but it does make sense to me. And I'll tell you why. Because you're not US based. And I think people are looking at that right now. So I kind of dig this. I kind of dig this name, and I'm kind of partial to it. So I don't know, man. I got to spend a little more time on it, but that's where my head is with it. Like, if I had to say where I'm at, I don't know why RN's going up. I really don't. CoreWeave, the circular relationship there scares the hell out of me. So, and I think that you should be able to see this for yourself, right? Like, you probably don't need me to do this. You probably did that already, right? So like, I don't know, you first. Let me know how it goes. Let me know how it goes. I know, bro. It's like we're going through the alphabet lately, right? What's up, Bam? Good morning, Ed. They're not getting in the glasses. Tell me that's not true. Oh, for God's sake. Well, I sold the swing. Now I just got the long. EWN. Yeah, I mean, They're all kind of pulling back this morning, but I think that is presenting opportunity more than anything. Like, I'd love EWY to get smoked. Like, yeah, sell it. Fine by me. What's up, Tariq? Yeah, I don't know that I think you just have massive rotation. It's just a monster, dude. It makes it like when I read some. I hate when I'm off on a Monday, but I also like when I'm off on a Monday because I can catch up on all my reading. I'm really floored by this, like really, really floored by this and trying to understand it. Like the whole side of the market where it's capital intensive and it's all build out and it's becoming transports and industrials. It's so freaking interesting. So what's up, man? Yeah, I think there's a lot there, isn't there? But again, I own this super long term. I don't know, man. I don't know. People have to rush into it. I look at it like here, this is where I would start with it. I'll get rid of the pre and the post. And anyone can create this chart. Like, it's not a super secret chart. It's just a 3 and a 5 and an 8 on a 15-minute. You guys can create it for yourselves. It's not rocket science. But like, if you really look at it, we had a shot here where it started trying to do this, right? And then it rolled over. And right on top means stop, right? All right. So then right on top means stop. And then green on top means go. And so then I look at this little area, like right in here. Look at it. And you hit a 5-8 cross right in there because the red's the 8 and that's the 5, and you stop dead. So I think as long as you're not breaking that, you're probably good. Like, you could probably come down and this thing could just trade around and get like whacked around a little bit. But if you were trying to, you just want to stay away from it when red's on top. Red on top means stop, right? It's not really rocket science. I'm not the brightest bulb, so I have to color code things. But even when you're short them and you see that, it's like so easy. Like, even like this, I just got so flummoxed because, and I did it on this one too, because I just got so angry. But like, I really should have really closed it when it happened and then just waited to put it back on. Because it's such an easy short when they break like that, right? Like, all you're doing is just, I'll just trail the 8. All right. And then it falls down. And then you're like, okay, well, I'm above the 3, which you've never done, but it's just a monster. It was a monster trade. And then I got, I don't know. I'm wrestling with that one mentally because I should have closed it. Which one were we talking about? What were we talking about, Willis? Oracle. So I'm not going to, I did add to my I have a very long-term position in this that's out years, and I did add to it, but I don't sell. So, but I could be early here, dude. I don't know how this goes with AI and how IGV miraculously just holds this level. I truly don't. Maybe it does, maybe it does, but I'm trying to see if it does. And I look at this and I really, from a technical standpoint, that's like really nice, like that's really, really nice. So maybe you do hold. Maybe it's time to start looking at those names a little bit, Hold on. What's he want? What's that one want? It's my son. Hold on. Never gets old. Every day is a box of chocolates. All right. I definitely think yeah, I do like doing this, dude. I'm not gonna lie. It's like people always ask, like, why do you do this? I'm like, I freaking love it. It's so rewarding. That's it. Kill gold. More for me. Fine by me. That means they're going to slaughter silver. Have you seen this? Have you been watching this? FNDF. So these are like the best companies overseas, and then you compare it to the SPY. I've run this on Saturday videos now. I've been running it for like a month. Hopefully people will get it. What's going on? This is where he said, this is where he told the world we're going to tariff you if you don't give us Greenland. If you're trying to figure out what happened. And that was after this. Just kidding. No tariffs. So, good morning from rainy Phoenix. Good morning from Miami. I was actually able to put the top down today, which was nice. These are Roku, I think. Is that what they're called or something? I forget what they're called. These, I think they're like, that's what they are. Raya or something? Hold on, I'll find them. Glasses. Roka. I don't know why I called them Roku. Roka. I don't even know if they make these anymore, this kind, but you definitely want them, and you need to look at the kinds too. So I don't have any affiliation with them here. Hold on, dude. I'll just drop that in there. That should work, right? That link, should that work? That should work for everybody, I think. I just dropped the link in there. So you guys go to town. Okay, so that link's not going to work because it's too big. Is that what's going to happen? All right, just go here. Roka, thank you. I'm going to have to jump, guys. I got a lot to do here. So, hello from Thailand. Hello from Miami. Yeah, I think they have to. I think it's going to go, the best way to hedge it is to sell. I mean, if you're in it, you have to make a decision. Are you willing to go all the way back down to 20 for $5? If the answer is no, sell. Like, I mean, you have to do what you're comfortable with. Like, how do you hedge that? You could sell calls against it, but that's only going to be a flea on a gnat if it breaks like a twig, right? You could buy puts, but I think the puts are going to be super expensive. I think you're better off looking at the short end of the market. I don't know that people are going to be buying this. Like if I go back to Jan, where have I gone? Right. So if I look at that and then I go like HYG, for example, and I go back to January here. Right. So like, hold on. So we'll just find like there's Jan. So they're buying, they'll buy bonds, right? But they're looking for yield. And I don't think they want to be tied long-term. So I see, because I just don't think they want to, but they want the yield, right? So like if you look at the 2-year over the same period of time, and so if we go to the 2-year, this is what I do on my days off. So if I go to the 2-year right here, right? And you measure the difference here between, that drop, like it's 20% increase in your bond price. If you do that with TLT over the same period in time, like here's Jan, right? Jan first, where's Jan? Like right here, right? All right. So hold on, where's Jan first? Right here. All right, so cool. And then you measure out like you're up 3%. People do not want to tie to us long-term anymore right now. Everything is short-term, everything. So I hope that helps. More bonding. Yay. Yeah, I mean, I buy it and trade it a lot. What do I think is interesting? I think, where do I look for it for EWY, since that's how you asked me? 125, like if it can get back to like the 12, I think that's a super interesting area where I add. I'll also add if it breaks that and gets to the 22. The only thing that's fundamentally going to change about that is if all of a sudden Samsung doesn't need, we don't need chips anymore. Like I can't even say it with a straight face. So, but that's how I would look at it. Hello from Spain. Spain's market's on fire. AWP. And, again, I think these markets look great, but you definitely want to take your time. Not for me. No, thank you. No. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Make good choices.